Hi, my name is Jake, and I am a bookish drummer. So in this video, I just want to quickly mention some overrated Stephen King books. The last Stephen King video I did, I talked about what I thought were some of his underrated books. And I'll just say this at the start of the video. Just because I think some of these books are overrated doesn't necessarily mean that I think they're bad books. In most cases, I think they're good. Some of them I even really like. I just don't think that they're his all-time best books like a lot of people do. And this is pretty slim pickings because most of his books are like deservedly hyped. Either a lot of people really like them, which makes perfect sense. A lot of people don't like them, which also makes perfect sense. But these handful of books, I just think, while some of them are good or great, they're nowhere near my favorites. And I'll start out with a pretty interesting take on this. The Green Mile. This is a great book. Great book. But you can basically get the same experience by watching the movie. Like, the movie is basically like a 99% perfect adaptation of this. So if you want to get the same experience, you can just watch the 3-hour movie instead of reading the book. That's why I think it's just slightly overrated. And as far as new King goes, a lot of his newer books, fans, they do like, but for this book, a lot of people love this book, 11/22/63. I'm not a huge fan of it, and if you've seen in my previous videos, you'll know that I'm not a huge fan of his longer books, because for me, they always start out great. They always have a lot of potential, but just the middle chunk of the book is just always so tedious. And this book starts out brilliantly. You got a guy who figures out how to time travel to the past, and his whole thing is like, oh, what if I could stop JFK's assassination? Which is just a brilliant concept. But the middle chunk of the book is just romance. Like, just cut out that part, and this could have been like a really cool, like 500, 600 page book. And again, it's not a bad book by any means. It is a good book. I did give it 3 stars, but in no universe would I put this in my top 10 or would I ever give it 5 stars. And now I'll talk about some more classic, scary Stephen King books. And these 2 books, they are great books. But again, I would not put them in my top 10. Probably not even my top 20, even though they are really good. But Salem's Lot, his vampire novel, and Pet Sematary. Again, both of these books are great, but I see a lot of people, especially Pet Sematary. This is a lot of people's all-time favorite, or it's at least in their top 5, their top 3. I can't put it that high for me. And same things with Salem's Lot. Salem's Lot is admittedly a very scary book. It's just that it doesn't have like my favorite characters. The characters aren't as compelling to me. And that's the whole reason I go to King in the first place, is because he has such compelling characters. But in this book, they're fine. So yeah, I feel like that's a pretty unpopular opinion. Salem's Lot, but especially Pet Sematary. So many King fans love this book. And I think it's great, just not an all-time King favorite for me. This next book, I debated putting it on this video because not a lot of people have read it, but the people who have read it seem to really enjoy it. But for me, Insomnia, excuse the pun, but it was just a snooze fest. I thought this book was just, it's aptly named because it's just so boring. And like I said, I go to King because I love his characters. And the main protagonist in this story, he's fine, but he's not all that compelling to me. The Dark Tower connections in this book are cool, but I need more than just that. I need compelling characters and for them to actually be doing interesting things, and I didn't get anything with this book. And basically the main reason I want to make this video is because, oh man, I have two really unpopular opinions when it comes to Stephen King. His two most beloved books, people just, they adore these books, right? They've reread them over and over again. But for me, I'm not a huge fan of The Stand. I think it's by far his most overrated book. And then his other one, which I do like don't get me wrong, I do like it, but again, it's massively overrated. And I had the same problem with both books, right? Like, the characters are great, don't get me wrong. All the characters in these books, especially in It, are fantastic. But the pacing, oh my god. Easily my biggest pet peeve in the world when it comes to books is unnecessarily long books, or books that don't feel edited down in any way, shape, or form. And with It, like, all the scenes, they do admittedly feel important. It's just that the way that King writes them, you feel that, like, you know, if a scene is like 20 pages, it could have easily been like 10 or 12 pages. And the book itself is like 1,100 pages. It could have easily been trimmed down to like a more manageable, like 750 pages. Just some of these scenes you read and you're like, get to the damn point, man. But like I said, all of the characters are great. And when stuff actually does happen in this book, it is great. Although the ending to this book is just crap. Like, most people, even people who give this 5 stars, they'll say like, oh yeah, the ending's not great, but everything else. And I'm just like, you can't give a book 5 stars if you don't like the ending. So yeah, this is overrated, but I'd still say it's like a 3.5, maybe even like a 4-star book for me. Not 5 stars. But for The Stand, oh man. Like, I give it a really generous 3 stars, just because it's split into 3 parts. Part 1 is terrific. You get introduced to the characters, it's very creepy, the apocalypse is just starting to happen, and it's really good. Then Part 2 happens, and it's just a slog to get through, man. And then Part 3, you know, some stuff does happen, but again, the ending. And I know, like, the Deus Machina ending, like, makes sense thematically for the book. That doesn't mean I have to like it. And like I've said in previous videos, this is the uncut version. And obviously it's uncut. But I have yet to read the original version, which is much shorter. I mean, good lord. So I feel like if I read this book, a lot of my problems with the uncut version will be taken out of this book. And I think the pacing will be much better, or at least more to my liking. So I'm very interested to read this and to see if this could potentially be, you know, like a 4 or 5 star book for me. But the uncut version, I'm never gonna enjoy this. So there you have it. Those are my overrated King books. Books by Stephen King that I feel are too, or at least slightly too high praised. And I just feel like there's so many more books that I like more than these books. And like I said, a lot of these books are good books or even great books. They're just not my favorite. So, what did you guys think of this video? What are some of your overrated King books? King books that you've read, that a lot of people enjoy, that you're just not a huge fan of? Let me know down in the comments below. And as always, if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. Thank you so much for watching and have a terrific day.